Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Legends video. Today we're going to be discussing a few things, such as the new transforming SS3 Gotenks that will be coming out soon, presumably in 2 to 3 weeks. And then on top of that though, the Zenkai awakening for this guy. I'm going to go ahead and do some predictions for these characters, the way I want them to function, things like that. And especially we're going to really try to deep dive into Cooler here and talk about what he can do for his upcoming 3rd and 4th unique abilities he's going to wind up getting, and talking about his Zenkai ability boost and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hit that subscribe, of course, if you are new for more content. Today's video like goal is 1,000, and that shouldn't be hard to hit here on the channel. My voice cracked, so kind of threw off my flow. Alright, so what I want to say is we do not have the actual image for the V-Jump scan yet. That is not out at the time of this recording. When it does come out, I'll come back and do a more formal video with the tidbits of information we'll get from that, such as like, oh, Gotenks specializes in doing blast attacks, or like whatever they might say in there. And we'll kind of talk about that and have another perspective to look at. But for now, we just have the leaks, and the leaks are very accurate every time we get these, so you can trust these leaks. We do have, again, a Gotenks who transforms the main ability into SS3. There's no note here as to whether that's base or Super Saiyan. I'd imagine it's Super Saiyan, but whatever the case is, we'll see. Speaking of Super Saiyan, it's interesting they're announcing Cooler's Zenkai Awakening. I guess I didn't want to give Fusions too much stuff right now, too much love right now, because like Purple Gotenks is waiting for his Zenkai. He's pretty bad. Anyways, so that being said, Cooler Final Form is getting a Zenkai Awakening, so that's what we're going to talk about here for today's video. So I want to start off by talking about Gotenks really quickly. Gotenks' desired color for me is anything but purple or yellow. That's all I really care about. Like, I don't mind if he's not red. I don't mind if he's not green. I think that if I had to really choose one color, though, I'd say it's probably blue. That kind of would be the one that I would expect to get buffed. But there's a couple of reasons as to why. That doesn't mean that the blue Gogeta doesn't hold that spot down pretty well. In fact, if you want to see a video on him, I did one recently, and he actually did pretty well. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't hold the spot down well. He's pretty tanky, especially with the red Vegito on bench. But what I'm thinking about is, you have to remember they have these units planned and scheduled months in advance. There might be variances where they push this unit to release sooner or later than the other, but they have a general chart as to what they expect to drop and in what order. Remember how I've been saying for a while now that if we get a hypothetical, for example, Vegito Blue for the anniversary, it would make a lot of sense for Fusions to get a blue character recently or sometime soon because of the color synergy with purple Vegito and yellow Vegito. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. So if this Gotenks doesn't wind up being that, I think if we do, hypothetically speaking, happen to get Vegito Zamasu stuff for anniversary, which is kind of looking like, because we started getting fusion stuff, we started getting regen stuff, we started getting future stuff, and remember I said a few months back that it's going to be really interesting to see leading up to the anniversary the type of teams that are getting buffed, and all of a sudden these teams are the ones that are getting buffed the most recently, right? Leading up to potentially Heartbreak or potentially that type of anniversary type deal. Or it could be like Trunks, who knows, right? It could be Trunks and Zamasu. Like, it could be multiple things. I'm going to do a separate video on that. But again, hypotheticals in tow here. Blue would be a good color just because of the synergy, long story short, with the newly released best unit on this team, Yellow Vegito. Yes, I do think that in most instances he's better than Purple, but Purple's no slouch. It's like kind of like 1A, 1B to me. Anyways, that being said, that fits really well. And you know what? Blue fits well with Purple too, because color synergy. He has somebody to defend his back. So blue is the color I'm looking at right now. Red wouldn't be bad. Green wouldn't be bad either. Yellow, definitely no. Purple, I don't want to see that either. Especially, again, if this guy gets a Zenkai, Purple is flooded. So don't do that. Okay, so last thing I want to kind of mention on Gotenks' front, he needs to be a buffer. Somebody like the Saiyan Saga Raditz fight Blue Goku that when he switches out, applies buffs to allies. Zenkai 7 Kid Goku, or actually I think it's Zenkai 6. Regardless, though, Zenkai Kid Goku can do it at a point. Baby Vegetas can do it. There are numerous characters that when they switch out, they apply buffs. That is the biggest thing Fusions, excuse me, needs. That is what I want to see from the Gotenks. I really don't care about anything else. He might wind up having a timer on transformation, in which case he could actually be built, honestly, very similarly to Purple Trunks, and I'd be very okay with that. Purple Trunks has a timer on transformation. He has the support ability to buff Vegeta family and hybrids on Switch. Like, he could literally be a carbon copy of that Trunks, and he's perfect for this team, aside from the color. Last thing is I want to kind of add in, if they want to for the upcoming Gotenks, Something similar to this Vegito where he has a character-specific buff, or something similar to like Ribrianne's crew where they offer like Universe 12 exclusive buff type of deal after a certain point. I think that giving a specific buff to the fusion dance characters would be pretty good. I want to see that because this team is starting. The Fusion Warrior team feels a lot like it's just Vegito's team. That's the Gogetas are good, and Red Gogeta deserves a Zenkai. The Gogetas are good. It's just we're kind of waiting. It's like, oh, there's these uber top tier Vegetos consistently, right? So waiting on those Gogetas to kind of funnel their way in, and buffing Gogetas and Gotenks exclusively would be a good way to do that. But I would assume that Gotenks is going to be just like this guy for his Z ability, where it's just Fusion Warrior and Hybrid, which I wouldn't mind about that either. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about Cooler Son. So, number of things I want to say on Cooler. Did I think he needed a Zenkai? No, I think he's really good. But if we look at the Lineage of Evil tag grouping, right? The Lineage of Evil is such a stacked team. From top to bottom, every color is pretty good for them. They have a very powerful yellow with endurance. He's really good. They have a very powerful green who's aged tremendously and just going to continue to do it because he does so much damage versus Saiyans. And same deal here. This guy allows for bonus damage versus Saiyans, and he's really good too. You have a very powerful blue, an LF purple. You have a very powerful purple that's not an LF. Like, they have a lot of options. Could they use, like, more colors in terms of like another green, like a secondary green that's not Golden Frieza? Yes, they could, right? But nonetheless, though, they're a very stacked team. Now, let's talk about the Zenkai ability. I'm interested to see how often characters wind up getting the Zenkai abilities like Kid Goku, where it's just a general thing. I do not want that to happen. I don't want Cooler to be plus 25% at Zenkai 7 to Lineage of Evil across the board. I do not want that. I don't want that, okay? But he'll probably want it being blue lineage, obviously. If we look at Cooler, he doesn't really have much other option than that. If they want to be really edgy and screw him over, it'd be Transforming Warrior. I don't think we're going to get another blue Sagas in the movies because that's Broly. I don't think that's going to happen, but it should definitely be blue lineage, right? In which case, we look at the other blue characters that are here. Pod Frieza's like... He's actually aging very well, especially it doesn't hurt that he got one of the last actual character balances in the game, and he has really good synergy with the existing purples on this team. So other than that, though, Cooler's buff, if you're not running Pod Frieza and running some variant of like blue, purple, would be exclusive to himself, which is kind of one thing to consider here. Because again, blue is it's not their most flooded color. I guess that'd probably be purple because you have really good Cooler and Frieza here. Anyways, so that's what we're looking at here. So let's talk about how he kind of is already and go over his kit. So draw the ultimate, Atomic Supernova. You need 25 counts to use this. Really, the general thing with characters now is they'll either restore health, they'll either restore enough ki, like 30 or 40, in order to use this. Most of the time I think it's 30. And other than that, they might do both. They might do both. We can actually kind of look at Zenkai Kid Goku, who I think got both in his main ability post-Zenkai, where he restores a little bit of health, restores ki, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But anyways, I'm going to say I think he just gets enough ki to use it. He might also do something else secondarily, like applying a buff to allies or something like that, right? But anyways, we go ahead. And really, actually, just for the record, this trend of just this not being good enough, drawing the ultimate not being good enough, kind of started at about Anniversary. When you look at Purple Vegito, who's an LF, he was the main headliner for the Anniversary, but his freaking main ability does so much. It's a paragraph, and he draws an ultimate, right? And that's kind of when it started. It's like, man, this just isn't good enough, right? We saw Zenkai 7 Red Goku get the same type of treatment as a character with an ultimate. He does more things now, so that's kind of things to consider. Let's go ahead and take a look at the unique number 1. When he enters the battlefield, the following effects occur if a Lineage of Evil other than this character is a battle member. Plus 40% to damage, minus 5 to strike and blast card cost, and plus 25% to ki recovery. You know what? I'm going to be honest. It's actually still a pretty solid unique ability. You have to remember when looking at Lineage, they have a lot of like passive buffs for the team. There's so many like things like that. This guy, for example, passive buffer for your team. You have this guy, another buffer for your team, another buffer for your team. They have different ways to utilize these characters. In fact, I think this guy as well, nobody really runs him, but I think he's also a buffer for your team. Yeah. So like you have a lot of like buffing synergy wise for this team. So Definitely don't forget that. So you have to kind of take that into account when you look at uniques like this. But if I'm going to say this gets updated, I'm going to assume this goes up to 50. This stays the same. Key recovery probably goes up to 30%, and then they might add in one more effect on here. I'm not so sure what it would be. If they say, oh my god, if they say +1 card draw speed, oh my god. That's normally what they would tie into something like this. Reduce card cost, key recovery, damage, and card draw speed in one unique. Sounds like something they would do, just for the record. Because he is restricted. He needs another lineage ally. Like, if he's running on movies, you need to at least run one more lineage character, right? So he is restricted in some way. And we actually don't have any movies Frieza yet. The movie-specific characters like Golden Frieza are from the anime and not from the movies. So they're not a part of that team. So that being said, when we look at sagas, you have to run a cooler. And you basically only have one really good option. So the other two are decent bench, that's it. So unless you have meta cooler, I guess. But still, you have to run another cooler, long story short. So let's go ahead and go back here. Look at the second unique. Applies the following effects to ally. And this is where he's nuts, by the way. The following effects to ally Lineage of Evil when this character switches to standby. Remember how I said they had so many passive buffers? He gives any Lineage of Evil character 35% more damage and 30% crit rate. This does not need to change. I don't want to see this change at all. If you're going to change it, just don't even upgrade. The 35 is a lot. 30% crit rate is a lot. Don't change this. Because again, if you take into account the other buffs this team has, that's stupid. That's a lot of damage that they wind up doing after just a couple switches, man. Don't do it. I don't want to see that. 15 counts. If you make that 20, that's also sneaky good because he'll get the buff and he'll be able to switch in towards the latter end of that buff and be able to use it to some degree. So make it 20. I don't want to see anything else change. He has blast armor on strikes, which is, you guys know, has aged incredibly well, especially in the mid-range, right? So his blue card reduces enemies' ki by 30, cannot be nullified by most other special moves. So he has one of those special moves that's overpowering of like beams like Kamehameha. It does not get nullified, it doesn't get canceled out, it doesn't clash, it wins. Unless it's versus another special move that's similar to this, like Purple Broly's or whatever, it's gonna win, always, right? We go ahead and take a look at the green here, plus 20% strike damage, changes blast cards to strike cards. Did I mention that if he got anything like card draw speed anywhere in his kit, he's a monster? You know what? I'm going to be honest. I think he gets card draw speed, but it's not going to be on this first unique. I think it's going to be on the Zenkai 3 and Zenkai 6 unique. One of those two is going to have card draw speed. Bet. Just bet. It's going to happen. He's already, like, tailor-made for it. Plus 20% to ki, changes blast to strikes, or excuse me, to strike damage. His blue card draws a green card next, and it has blast armor. I want to see his blue card get an ultimate damage buff. I need to pull up Zenkai Kid Goku because that is our most recent example of a character like that and what they did for these characters. I'm actually, in the meantime, while I'm talking, going to pull up Zenkai Kid Goku and also Zenkai Kid Gohan as well, because I need to see the changes that they made to these characters with ultimates to kind of provide a little bit of an example. But let's kind of talk about some of the other uniques in the meantime while my game loads on the side. So like I said, in terms of how he is, I don't want to see the second unique change at all. Like, I'm just going to say it, like if they add like crit damage, this unit is broken. Crit rate and crit damage in a combination is why a character like Blue Bardock has been able to sustain so well. And don't get confused, right? There's crit damage as well, which means it's factored into how much damage you do on a critical hit, which already does more damage. And then there's regular damage, right? Plus 30% to crit rate, plus 20% to general damage, and plus 70% to crit damage. This is why this guy is still used to this day. He's not really that great other than that. He's not, right? I don't want to see Cooler get anything like that. I think that would just be far too broken. But the thing is, when you think about broken, he's a Zenkai 7 character. What do you really expect? You expect him to be broken, right? So let me just say this. Gohan actually does not get any damage buff on his ultimate. His main restores health and gives him strike damage. He also doesn't get ki for that, but he has minus health restoration on the ultimate. So I guess it's fair to not expect some of these upgrades like that. But just for an example, Gohan gets anti-regen. He gets card draw speed and a bonus in damage as well for one of the uniques he has. And he also becomes a support unit for hybrids and Sun Family with the other unique that they added into his kit. His green card is stupid good as well. Restores ki on the green card, plus 20% to damage, nullifies own downgrades and stuff like that. So there are things like that to consider. I need to pull up Kid Goku for my final verdict before we move on the discussion topic. But for his blue, he has plus 30% to damage inflicted, nullifies endurance as well. His main ability restores health and ki. Okay, so yeah, I guess it's fair not to expect Cooler to get anything else. So here's what I'm going to say. All right, so for the Cold-Hearted Family unique, if when he switches out, he buffs allies ki by like 20%, or not 20, I keep saying percentages, a flat like 20 ki, that goes a long way. I don't want to see it be more than that because he does too much. But if you bust ki in any capacity, that's good. But realistically, like I said, if this doesn't even change at all, it's a perfectly fine unique still. Like for what it's made for, especially factoring in all the other buffs the team has passively, it doesn't need to change. If he, on the other two uniques, gets something like the ability to do card draw speed, even if it's just when entering the battlefield for a set number of counts or things like that, he becomes incredible because you have to think about the reduced card cost, the bonus in ki recovery, the damage he has, the green card that changes blast to strikes, which is automatically a cheaper card to use anyway, and the fact he has blast armor as well. Green card is nuts with his kit in general. Like, you have to think about all these different things. So that's what I'm expecting them to do for him, to be honest, because it just makes the most sense. Most melee units have that as their crutch nowadays, including Kid Goku, card draw speed. Like I said, that they give them these characters that. For the last unique, this one's kind of a toss-up. I would like something that's not Lineage of Evil specific for him. I'd like it to be kind of, you know what they can really do for just all of his stuff in here, to be honest? Instead of buffing it, make it Lineage of Evil, or like, do they have a Team Cooler type of tag? No, it would have to be movies, unfortunately. Huh. I don't want him to be movies specific either, because he's too good on movies. If they make these buffs for movies, that's too good. They don't need another blue like that. He immediately replaces Vegeta, especially because he has blast armor. And Broly's already really good too. Like, they don't need that. For the last unique, I'm kind of thrown. I don't know. I really don't know. Give him just immunity to debuffs. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with an immunity to debuff. That's broken, but not like super beyond belief broken. So I don't know. Cooler did not need a Zenkai though. Like, you could already see he's super good. And he was going to age really well because of this unique and because all the buffs this team has. So there you have it. And also because he's their best blue fighter still. So, I mean, I guess it's debatable if you want to use first form or not. Whatever. Anyways, there you have it, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe if you're new. And I'll see all of you guys in the next one.